Hello out there in Rando Land. Welcome to a race between RickyofKokiri of Guardians of the Galaxy Brain and Jester of the Hovering Sick Kids. This is a race in the Thieves Sound division. We are doing Fad Keys, Faux All Dungeons Key Sanity, which is basically the same as regular Key Sanity. Gotta beat all the dungeons in the game, including Aghanim's Tower, and the Castle Tower keys are in Aghanim's Tower itself. And with that, we are started. We have a pod key in Link's house, and both of the runners are going to begin and go to Hyrule Castle for the first set of items. Grabbing the sign in order to get a drop from the guards, as well as check the tier 1 tree pull. Guard doesn't drop anything of note or anything at all. And we do have bombs from the tree. So nice early bombs from the tree pull. This does open the option of an immediate Hyrule Castle should the runners decide to do that. So from the uncle, we have a full heart container. Nice of the uncle to give his entire life to let these runners go farther and faster and safer. Both runners pick up magic, and yep, we're going to have a double save and quit here. So no early Hyrule Castle play, at least not just yet. Alright, Sanctuary, we just have a heart piece, and the runners will be on their way, most likely checking the Lost Woods area first, and we'll see what prizes are in store from there. Alright, slight route divergence. Jester is going to grab the sign and get another tier 1 tree pull, so Jester will be coming into Kakariko with 8 bombs rather than 4. Jester is also going to check what is on Aga Tower ledge. We'll see how much we should prioritize going to Aga Tower. Ricky, it just looks like found a 20 rupees on the mushroom spot in the Lost Woods. We have the flute on Aga ledge. That's going to be great information for Jester, because Jester will know to prioritize doing Aga a little bit earlier. However, we will also need the boots in order to be able to collect the flute. Meanwhile, Ricky does the drop down, finds 300 rupees, and is going to be on his way to Kakariko Village itself. Alright, so Kakariko Village coming in with 321 rupees, which is plenty of money for our friend, the bottle merchant. And Ricky will be the first to look in the back of Blind's hut, see what our early items are this time around. Early sword is always very appreciated. Early 2 swords could potentially mean doing Aga Tower early. We'll see what ends up happening there. Another 300 rupee drop, so now we have enough money for both the Bottle Merchant and for King Zora, should we decide to go that way. And the compass to Turtle Rock, which will not really be used for much of anything at all. And yeah, this is definitely an Aga seed, because this is all dungeons key sanity. The castle tower keys are in their vanilla locations. But Jester knows to prioritize doing Aga a little bit earlier than otherwise, because Jester has seen the flute on Aga Ledge, whereas Ricky has not. Ricky, however, is going to be the first one to the well in Kakariko, going to check out 5 items. We have a small key to Skull Woods, which is very nice for the purposes of getting to the back in Skull Woods. Small key to Pod. And the Tempered Sword, so we are right now the glass cannons. And on the Bottle Merchant, we have the hammer. Great use of the money that we had picked up so far. For once, a Bottle Merchant item that is worth picking up. Back of Cocoa Hut just has a full heart container, giving a little bit more sustainability to our 3 swords. And we have the shovel in the tavern, which is honestly probably a pretty benign place for the shovel. You can check the shovel spot immediately after checking race game, if you so choose. Do not have a bottle though, so Sick Kid's item will still be a mystery for now. Also of note, we didn't find any bombs in Kakariko Village, so having the bomb drop from the tree pole is pretty nice at this point. Ricky is just going to scout the item from race game, see if we can save a couple bombs. Unfortunately, it looks like we cannot just scout the item because it is a small key, and we don't know to what dungeon it belongs yet. So Jester, in the meantime, has finished up with Kakariko and is right on Ricky's heel. I missed the library check from earlier, just a red rupee, so won't be needing to get that with the boots. And let's see where that small key is. Small key goes to Misery Mire, and Ricky is going to go check the shovel spot now. This is as close as it'll be for a while, so you might as well do it now and see if you get any early progression. If the early progression ends up being Lamp, then that might drive the runners to Aga and to Hyrule Castle sooner than later. And underneath the shovel spot is just a piece of heart. So Jester also going to follow suit. Jester did gain a little bit of time on Ricky because Jester just straight up did the race game rather than scouting the item first. Ricky is on his way to the South Shore area, gonna check out the dam, most likely Mini Moldorm Cave, and proceed from there. We'll see if Jester ends up doing the same thing. And yes, Jester will continue to be on Ricky's heels. So, the dam item, we have the map to Ice Palace. Keeping in mind that this is a Key Sanity mode, so maps will give information about whether the dungeon has a pendant or a crystal as the prize. And now we'll check out the flooded sunken item. Sunken item is just a red rupee. We have enough money, Ricky's not even going to bother picking it up. And the crabs drop fairies, so it's a decent prize pack. Alright, Mini Moldorm Cave, Tempered Sword, making very quick work of the Mini Moldorms. Unfortunately, Ricky doesn't get that magic drop, but not that we have anything to use magic-wise anyway. And we have the Moon Pearl, Compass to Swamp, Map to Skull, Compass to Pod, and a 20 rupee drop. So, the Moon Pearl is our important item that we have found in Mini Moldorm Cave. Ricky going to save and quit immediately and skip Ice Rod Cave. Might be a little tempting to go out that way and do some fake flippers things now that you found the mirror. Now that you found the Moon Pearl, because that lets you also be able to check in Waterfall Cave. But Ricky is instead going to scout the Lake Hylia Island item just for a piece of heart. Jester as well is going to be skipping Ice Rod Cave, and Jester is opting instead to go to Hyrule Castle. The only chest that is in Logic currently in Hyrule Castle is the one that is guarded by the first guard, because we do not have a fire source for Dark Crossroom, and all of the rest is logically needs the Hyrule Castle small key to be able to get. But there could definitely be an advantage in Hyrule Castle. Ricky, in the meantime, has gone to Saha's hut, finds 2 big keys, one to Thieves Town and one to Desert Palace. Saha finish checks 5 and 6. An extra heart container from Hyrule Castle. We'll see what's in Zelda's cell. Taking a lot of damage from this guard to maybe set up a Death Warp and check Dark Cross Room after this. Just a red rupee, so yep, Jester is indeed setting up that Death Warp. Going to use those bombs from earlier. And we'll be checking Dark Cross Room after this. So I believe Ricky just finds 3 bombs on the right side of Eastern Palace. But that glove is going to be a very useful thing. Oh, Jester went the wrong way and decided to just save and quit instead. Okay. We don't currently have a fire source, and there's nothing really drawing you to Dark Cross Room specifically at this moment. So Jester is going to go to Sahasra's closet, get those 2 big keys, and if he decides to dip Eastern Palace after that, which there's very little else that you can do at this point, we'll find the glove. Considering Aga. Going to go to the vanilla big key chest of Eastern Palace. Just a map to Desert Palace, though we do have the big key from Desert as well. Alright, so Ricky's first to leave has all the items necessary for Dark World access, probably going to do the Back of Escape first, and yep, that is the case. Back of Escape has 3 items and is super quick to do, and you can do it pretty much at any time after you find your first glove upgrade, so why not? And Jester opting to save and quit immediately after finding the glove. This is going to be a big time save for Jester. Jester is immediately going to take that glove and check Hype Cave. In the meantime, Ricky finds a bow in the Back of Escape. We'll be needing the bow for Hyrule Castle and also for Palace of Darkness, which we can get to eventually, doing the long way. Jester heading immediately to the Dark World does mean that he's going to be missing out on the bow for a little while, but with it being in the Back of Escape, it probably won't be too long before Jester checks the back. So 5 items in Hype Cave. We got a heart container, our first bottle, blue rupee, and a compass to Misery Mire. And another immediate save and quit. The bottle is nice. This will let Jester be able to check Sick Kid right before heading into the Dark World from the Kakariko portal, which Ricky is going to now. But the back of Hyrule Castle is not on Jester's mind at this point. So we'll see if that bow advantage ends up becoming relevant. Okay, Ricky goes right over to Skull Woods. Sick Kid has just a heart piece. So not a super big payoff from the bottle this time around. But now Jester is going to go into the Dark World as well. Alright, Vanilla big key chest in Skull Woods has a small key to pod, which is our second or third one? I think it's our third one. That puts a lot of pod in access. Taking a Death Warp out, and especially having found the small key to Skullwoods already, it lets you be able to check the front very efficiently. Corner chest just with a heart piece. Jester, in the meantime, is going to Thieves Town for another route diversion, so if there's anything in Skullwoods, it might be a little while before Jester gets there. Probably waiting to find something like the Fire Rod first. So I think all that we've seen on Jester's side so far is chest game from Village of Outcasts, and then we'll wait to check the brewery and the C-shaped house later. So first floor in Thieves Town, we have a Turtle Rock small key. And just a red rupee. Also, Ricky is heading over to the Thieves Town area now. Nothing super consequential in the front of Skullwoods. Although I guess that pod key is potentially consequential. We'll see. I think the bow is more consequential. Speaking of pod, Jester finds the map in the third chest of Thieves Town and the lamp in the fourth. Ricky just gets bombs out of Sea Hut, I believe. So the lamp does make Aga Tower completable. We can't get the item just yet because we don't have the boots. And Jester is going to finish Thieves Town off and full clear it. I missed it when we picked up the Thieves Town small key. Alright. So both runners in Thieves Town now. Thieves Town is often a dungeon that you typically want to do almost as soon as you have Dark World access, so as a result, you end up doing Thieves Town on relatively low item completion and health points relatively often. So these runners having Tempered Sword already and having a fair number of heart containers should be able to get through pretty handily. Ricky just has to watch his health a little bit. Coming in with 2 hearts. But yeah, coming in with a small key as well as having the hammer means that you don't have to leave anything behind in Thieves Town, and maybe a signal that there's something good other than the lamp to be found in the back. Who knows? The lamp will also be useful when the runners get into Palace of Darkness. Currently, Ricky has 3 keys. It takes 1 more Palace of Darkness small key to put the back in logic, and the back would be the compass chest, which is surrounded by the terrapins, as well as the 2 that are in the dark basement. But since we have the lamp, which is a fire source, the dark basement chest is now in logic. Well, it would be in logic if we get another pod key. Just 300 rupees in the big chest there. And we'll see how Jester does on blind. In the meantime, Ricky is making very good... Ricky's doing a very good job getting through the Hellway without much health at this point. Alright, script getting a little way from Jester. Still gets a nice blind defeation. And that is our 4th pod key, so that does put the back of pod in logic. Both Ricky and Jester have 3 keys. Ricky is going to pick up that 4th key really soon, and Jester is just missing the one that is in the front of Skull Woods. But with that, we have a crystal clear about 20 minutes in, which is pretty nice for Key Sanity Seed. And Jester doing a good job remembering that he still has other things to do in Village of Outcasts, especially if you find things in Thieves Town or get focused on the blind fight. It can be very easy to accidentally forget that you have more chests in Village of Outcasts to do. Oh, that's where half magic was. Okay. Alright, so Jester just has Digging Game and Stump Kid because Jester had already done some of Hype Cave. And we'll see what ends up happening next. It is really looking to me like Palace of Darkness is going to be a next valuable destination, but hopefully Jester will pick up the bow in the back of Escape before deciding to make that play. Clearing Aga Tower is another thing that could be on Jester's radar, since we can do that now, and all it takes is the boots, and then Jester will have the flute as well. Alright, Stump Kid has blue mail. And not sure where Jester's going. Maybe Jester's just going to walk to Palace of Darkness? Might check the bottle, or the bomb shop on the way? Nope, skipping the bomb shop. Okay, this is just a walk to pod. We'll see if Jester checks the pyramid first. Nope, going straight into pod. Yeah, I agree. You know you're going to want to beat Agasoon early anyways, so you might as well check the pyramid after you beat Agatower instead. In the meantime, Ricky is following right behind. Ricky has not done Hype Cave, so we'll take a detour getting in there. But we'll see if Ricky ends up heading to Pod as well. The advantage that Ricky has right now is the bow, which is in the back of Escape. I'm not sure what is in the bottle that Jester found currently. If it is a potion, then we can still use Potion Glitch to get the bow-locked items. It is blue. Okay, so Jester could use that blue potion in order to get the bow-locked items with the camera unlock glitch. The other advantage that Ricky has is having done Skull Woods first, and the Skull Woods front had a Palace of Darkness small key. So with the 3 keys that Jester currently has, if you open up the front door, then you're going to have to skip either, well, most likely Harmless Hellway Chest. Or is an interesting number of pod keys as well, because maybe you want to make sure that you're saving a key for the boss in case a pod key doesn't turn up later. With only 2 more pod keys in the pool, that's a pretty reasonable play. If you want to get all the value you can out of it right now, then you can check both the vanilla big key chests as well as Harmless Hellway chests, but then you're relying on finding one of the 2 remaining pod keys later. You can also try not opening up the front door, which makes routing through pod, makes you have to make a couple of extra trips through the bowlock side. But there is some potential reward to doing that if you don't think you're going to find any of those 2 remaining keys. So in the meantime, Jester is going to the back first. We have the big key to Tower of Hera and 50 rupees. Yeah. And that we know is in logic because of the 4th key that Ricky has. The one in Hellway Chest is locked behind 6 small keys, just a heart piece. So Jester's setting up to do the hammer jump, and Ricky is just coming in with Kiki. Doesn't quite get the hammer jump the first try. Ooh. Just missed its second try as well. These two chests that you're hammer jumping to, obviously they're not in logic, otherwise you wouldn't need to hammer jump. They are locked behind 6 small keys to pod, and you don't currently have the big chest to be... You don't currently have the big key for the big chest as well, so not super essential usually, but you never want to leave a stone unturned if you're in the dungeon already. So, in the meantime, Ricky is going to do the drop down, which I don't believe we have seen yet, for the fire rod. Well, the fire rod is going to bring... When Jester finds the fire rod, that is going to bring him back to Skull Woods. And he'll be able to get that other pod key that Ricky has. Could potentially bring him other places if they find something like the Titan's Mitts or the Flippers. Maybe the book. But here we're seeing the bowlock side. Ricky, of course, already has the bow. If Jester is going to check these, then he would have to use that blue potion. But they are in logic. 20 rupees and another small key to Skullwoods. And hammer yumping doesn't lead to anything super essential this time around, so Jester will take an intentional death, and we'll see what he decides to do next. In the meantime, Ricky is checking the back of pod checks that Jester has done already. Oh, Jester is piecing out without checking the Bowlock side. Nothing super valuable there, so this won't be a decision that costs him any time. Alright, so Jester, you're starting at the Sanctuary. Are you going to do the drop down to escape? Yes! Alright, Jester will now have the bow, and probably be annoyed because he was just in pod. Hopefully he doesn't end up coming back just for the Bowlock chests. But Jester did indeed skip the basement, the Salphos drop for pod, so he's going to be missing that Fire Rod as well. We'll see what he's doing next. This is looking like, yep, this is going to be an Aga clear, which is good. We also haven't seen Dark Crossroom from either of our runners, and makes sense for Jester to be able to check Dark Crossroom and then go into Aga. Meanwhile, Ricky is doing the back of pod, has a bit of an easier time with the Hammer Yump. Oh, Jester is also skipping Dark Crossroom. Okay. Alright. So Jester is showing what puts the fad in fad keys, and the thing that puts the fad in fad keys is that the Castle Tower keys are in this dungeon itself. Don't have to spend forever hunting all over Hyrule for the Aga Tower keys this time around. Ricky is leaving the Dark Maze, probably going to check the Pyramid as well as Catfish. Ricky does not have the information that the flute is on Aga Ledge, so doesn't quite have as much of a reason to prioritize it, unlike Jester at this point. In order to actually get the flute, though, we will need the boots. So if the boots are available early, then that would be an advantage that Jester would have. Pyramid Ledge is just a compass this time around. And I think this is going to be a Catfish check. So places the runners can go after this. Ricky has just found the Fire Rod, so Ricky could go beat Mothula and see what that other item is. We haven't seen the... We don't have the mirror to be able to really make the North Dark World checks effective, but we can at least scout Bumper Cave. Another thing that we haven't seen from either runner is going up Death Mountain. Right now we can't really do too much on Death Mountain, but we can save the old man. We can see what is atop Spectacle Rock, see what is inside Spectacle Rock Cave, and maybe use that blue potion in order to check Spike Cave, but I don't believe that would be in logic at this point. Catfish, in the meantime, has a small key for Hyrule Castle. Alright, and Ricky's going over to Hyrule Castle. This makes sense. Ricky hasn't done these checks yet. We know that they're in logic now because of finding that Hyrule Castle small key. We've seen it on Jester's side, and we know that there's nothing important there, but we have not seen Dark Cross Room yet. So, if something important is in Dark Cross Room, then Ricky will probably be able to get it while he's here. And we'll see if Ricky also decides to do Aga at the same time. Part of what's interesting about Fad Keys is, since you know that you're going to have to beat Aga Tower anyway, you know that Aga is definitely required, you can then make, when you do Aghanim, a strategic decision rather than necessarily just waiting to the end or doing it very reluctantly because you haven't found any of the other items that you need to get into Dark World. In this case, there is some potential reward to doing it for Aga. Ricky doesn't know where the flute is, and we don't know where the boots are to use that flute, so having that warp to the Dark World at Hyrule Castle is a faster way to get into Palace of Darkness should we need to come back. Alright, Jester. You have the bow now. Jester is going up to Catfish instead, so committing to leaving that fire rod behind, at least at this stage. Depending on where those other two Palace of Darkness keys are, if Jester's waiting for more pod keys, it might be a little while before Jester decides to head back. So having that fire rod at this point could be a pretty significant advantage for Ricky. And Ricky's also going to be the first runner to check Dark Cross Room as well. If it turns out like the boots are there, that would be really unfortunate for Jester. But Jester is starting at the Sanctuary. We'll see if this is a... Oh, this is, I think, a Dark Cross Room check. Because we've already seen the back. And does Jester have the Hyrule Castle small key? Yes. Yep, okay. I'd also missed the item that was actually in Dark Cross Room itself. Turns out it was just a heart piece. So Ricky is making the play to go back to Ice Rod Cave. Both runners had skipped Ice Rod Cave earlier. Could be fake flippering after this. Can check the Hobo item. We've already seen that Lake Hylia Island is not important. With the Moon Pearl, we can extend the fake flippers to get into Waterfall Cave. And we can get the one item of that sequence that is in logic at this point, which is the item on King Zora himself. And we have plenty of rupees to be able to get that. Big Key of Misery Mire is in Ice Rod Cave. That's not something that's immediately useful, but it's definitely something that we'll need to get sooner or later. Jester would ideally like to get that after being able to flute to 8 instead. But we are going to see Jester go back to the Dark World. I think that this is going to be a front of Skull Woods clear. And if so, then Jester will find a small key to Pod, which could lead him to go back to Palace of Darkness and get that Fire Rod. A little bit unfortunate that Jester didn't pick up the Fire Rod on his first trip to Pod. Alright, so Ricky in the meantime is giving us checks that we have not seen yet. Gonna see the hobo. Hobo has the boots. Interesting. Alright, so boots are locked behind flippers somehow. That's the item that Jester really, really wants to be the one to find, because he'll be able to get that flute as soon as he decides to do the fake flippers things. Boots could be a huge advantage for Ricky. It's always a question of whether or not that's a huge advantage, because oftentimes fake flippering is one of those things that you do typically tend to find pretty early in games. So you fake flipper, you find the boots there, you gotta be wondering, did my opponent do this like half an hour ago, or am I actually the first one there? But we know that Ricky is the first one to the boots. Just a map to Eastern Palace in Waterfall Cave. So we're having pretty good map information whenever we decide to check. And the hook shot is on the ledge, and I don't believe we currently... Oh no, we have the bow. We have a splash deletion setup. Flippers ending up being a very important item, and it also restricts pretty significantly the possible places where the flippers can be. And Ricky just finds the cane. I think has to save and quit there. I'm not sure if something went wrong with the water walk state that caused that to happen. But as I was saying, knowing that the hookshot is there on the ledge does, at this point, pretty significantly restrict the number of places that the flippers can be. It could be in a very early on location, such as Agina's Cave, which Ricky is checking now. You can sprint there, so it's a lot faster to do it now than if you would have done it at the beginning of the game. Jester is done with Skull Woods. We'll see where he decides to go next. Ricky bombing Agina, because why not? Small key to Skull Woods, which is the third one. And that actually puts Mothula in logic, I believe. So flippers could now be on Mothula. Alright, Jester is going back to Eastern Palace as Ricky just finds the big key. A little bit unfortunate there. But Jester had only done the first check in Eastern Palace and left immediately after finding that progression item, the glove. There are 3 more items. The lamp puts all of them back in logic, and Ricky is now going to get the information that, hey, maybe doing Aghanim would be a good thing at this point. Immediately saving quitting. I think he was going to go to the mountain initially, but after you see that flute, it's like, oh, I should do that right now and take the duck to the mountain instead. Alright, so as we're seeing the runners tread each other's ground, this is a good time to give them a follow. Both of them are in the Thieves Town division, playing this race for us, playing a lot of League, and we look forward to seeing how they will do not only in this match but throughout the rest of the season. Also, thanks to them and thanks to the rest of the crew, we have Raids tracking and Yoinker's wife restreaming Thanks for getting this match together. So we can speculate what we're going to need after this. A lot of progression is locked behind the flippers at this point. We know that the red cane in particular is not. That one was on Zora himself. We are a Titan's Mitts away from being able to check Mire Shed. We don't have any medallions to be able to open Mire itself, but at least we can see the item. If we could get into Mire, then with the big key that Ricky found already in Ice Rod Cave, could be something useful there. The hook shot, which is also locked behind flippers, would make the Death Mountain checks much more efficient if Ricky's able to get back over to Zora and Splash Delete to get them. Jester, in the meantime, has finished up with Eastern Palace. We'll see, is he going to decide to go to Pod next? Yep, and that does look to be the case. So, it's a little bit of time lost for Jester because Jester is able to check the same things that Ricky has checked, but had to do the maze walk twice, whereas Ricky only had to do it once. But this is going to lead Jester to find that fire rod, which we know we'll want at some point. All right, Jester. Is Jester... Yep, Jester's doing the drop down. Okay, good. So, this is the fire rod spot. And now with the fire rod, we can clear Skull Woods, potentially. Let's see. We're also a Titan's Mitts away from getting into Ice Palace, though full clearing it will definitely not be in logic at this point. Really curious where those flippers are, and there aren't really too many options at this point. But Ricky beats Aghanim, immediately going to save and quit, start at the Sanctuary, pick that flute up, activate that flute in Kakariko Village, and we'll see where he decides to go next. I'm guessing at this point that the mountain might be on Ricky's radar. A little bit unfortunate that he already had decided to run to Agina's cave, because fluting there is even faster than running. Alright, Jester immediately going to take that fire rod and will clear Skull Woods, I believe. So we're seeing a bit of route divergence. Kind of hard to know at this point that the thing that Jester needed to do was actually do the out of logic flippers checks in order to get that flute advantage early. But maybe the flippers will be in the moth, and that'll bring him there. And with Fire Rod, Half Magic, and Tempered Sword, this should be a pretty benign moth fight. Alright, Ricky is indeed fluting to the mountain. And we'll see what Gary the Old Man has. Gary the Old Man has an invulnerability item for Spike Cave. So that's pretty nice. For climbing the left side of Death Mountain anyway, we're going to be right in the vicinity to check Spike Cave. So it's about as convenient as it gets. Ricky does only have 4 hearts, but with half magic, that's plenty to be able to use the cape. Just a bottle atop Lake Hylia Island, and just a heart piece inside Spectacle Rock Cave. I said Lake Hylia Island. I meant atop Spectacle Rock. Alright, nice moth fight from Jester. Unfortunately, it doesn't really amount to too much. And unfortunately, nothing in Spike Cave either. So, where are those flippers, actually? There's one more chest, the bridge chest we have to get in Skullwoods itself. And Ricky is going to take that Eastern Palace Big Key that was obtained out of Logic in Bonk Rocks. Use that to be able to clear Eastern Palace. So we know that this is not going to be where the flippers are, but there we have it. And Jester just finds the Titan's Mitts inside Skullwood's bridge chest. Okay, so that's a potentially pretty big advantage. With the flute that is currently out of Logic, then we could do Meyer stuff. Jester brings Smith. Smith Chain is now in the equation with Titan's Mitts. Hammer Pegs is now into the equation. Getting to the Dark World slightly faster is kind of nice as well. We don't currently have access to the right side. We know that the hookshot is on Lake Hylia Island. If we did have access to the right side of Death Mountain via Mirror, then that would potentially make our mountain clear of the right side very efficient, because you can just pick up with the hookshot, then you'd be able to get everything, right? So we'll see. Jester's following the breadcrumbs of the Titan's Mitts, and I think is gonna start with Smith Chain, which could be where our flippers are. We'll see. In the meantime, I missed the item that was in the Eastern Palace big chest, but Ricky is making his way to the boss. Just arrows? Okay. So nothing important in hammer pegs. Just a small key to... oh, never mind. It is something important. That was a small key to Swamp Palace. Okay. Well, the flippers aren't there. But Jester also going to pick up the frog, turn him into a real boy, and bring him to Kakariko. Yeah, I take that back. Hammer pegs is pretty important. Alright, Ricky also is fluting to Kakariko. I think this might also be a Mothula clear, which will get Ricky on the same path that Jester is. Just a big full heart container from our blacksmith friend. Is Jester gonna go back in for purple chest? Okay, it was a small key to ice in the big chest of Eastern Palace. Gotcha. Alright. Jester is pausing to consider. Oh, maybe something tech-related happened. But while that is getting sorted out, Ricky is in Skull Woods. Once again, we got half magic, tempered sword. This Mothula doesn't stand a chance at this point. Alright, one more hit should do it. One more hit that doesn't knock him into the spikes. There we go. Cool. So nice moth kill from Ricky. And that is also one of our red crystals, and we have the big key to Tower of Hera as well. So eventually when we get the hook shot or perhaps the mirror, then Pyramid Fairy becomes in play. Okay, in the meantime, Jester is back online, and I think we're going to be seeing the purple chest. Yep, Ricky picks up those Titan's mitts. And the immediate save and quit. Alright, so we have the purple chest following, but we don't currently have the mirror. I wonder if Jester doesn't realize that he doesn't have the mirror. Oh, okay, now he realizes it. Okay, he saved and quit. Ricky, in the meantime, taking that flute. I believe that was the Quake medallion required to enter Misery Mire. And we're going to see what Mire Shed has. This stuff is locked behind the flippers. Nothing super important. So, are the flippers in this purple chest? No! Just a map to Misery Mire, so the whole Smith chain doesn't end up turning out very fruitful. Jester's gonna take this opportunity to go check Agina. Man, where could those flippers be? Alright. Also, there's a small key on Desert Ledge to be noted. I think on Ricky's side, this might also end up being the mirrorless Smith chain, which you hate doing it, but Ricky is gonna get up that small key to Swamp Palace and get other things from there. But no, instead this is Bumper Cave, taking advantage of that magic cape. I don't recall exactly where the magic cape was found, but the flippers are there. Okay. So that's the play that needs to happen. All right, so where was that cape actually? The cape was on the old man. All right. So in a way, the old man did have the flippers. He just had it indirectly. So what Jester is doing now is actually gonna put him on path to be able to get that, and that's a progression that needs to happen on his side. All right, Ricky, you've just found the flippers. Are you going to also do Smith chain? The answer is yes. Okay, so that'll put Ricky on the path to get the small key to Swamp, which you'll definitely want to have before you do Swamp. It'll take the mirror to be able to enter the dungeon, and the hook shot, which we know to be on Zora Ledge, to be able to full clear it. But now that we have the flippers, I imagine that Ricky is going to basically beeline it to get that hook shot, and then probably it looks like Death Mountain is going to be the play. So Jester skipping out on Spike Cave for now. We know it doesn't have anything super important, but hopefully that decision will come back to get him. He's trying to think of where to go next. Kind of difficult to know at this point that you're supposed to go to Bumper Ledge. In the meantime, Ricky grabs the frog and saves and quits. Gonna check that later. Might be a little while before Ricky checks Purple Chest, but we know that that is just a map. Alright. And I think Jester is indeed following the breadcrumb left by the cape. Gonna see that, hey, the flippers were here the entire time. In plain sight! Speaking of plain sight, the hookshot's right there in plain sight. We're gonna be taking the frog to get the hookshot. Gonna get him a little wet. But that's fine. He's look at him swim in deep water. He can handle it. No inner tube or life vest required. Alright, so there's Ricky's hookshot. And this frog is just gonna... He's really getting the adventure today. He's getting quite a workout. Nope, okay, Ricky's gonna deliver him first. Alright, so Jester has found the flippers. We know that the hobo is the one who has the boots, and it looks like Jester is heading directly there. And then the rest of the stuff that you get with the flippers are the red cane, which is on King Zora, as well as the hook shot, which is on the ledge. So, flippers ended up having a lot of progression this time around. Also ended up not being in the nicest of places. It would have worked to your advantage if you would have done the delivering the old man first, as soon as you had the combination of gloves and lamp. Okay, we have Paradox Cave on Ricky's side. Para 5, small key to ice, that's our second one, I believe. Big key to Turtle Rock, we'll need that at some point. A bottle with a B. 10 arrows, which Ricky actually very much needed. And the small key to Ganon's Tower. I missed what was in the pair of items that Ricky dropped into before that. Alright, we got the hook shot. Ricky going to take the hook shot, take the hammer, everything that we need to full clear Tower of Harrow. We even have the big key at this point. We do not have the small key, so I take that back. We're not full clearing it. We're getting 5 out of 6. But we didn't want to wait in that basement anyway. So now that Jester has that hookshot, gonna pick up that big key from Eastern Palace, which is here. I don't believe that we saw King's Tomb yet from either runner, but with the Titan's Mitts and the boots, King's Tomb is online. And now Jester is finally going to pick up that flute that he had saw since pretty much the beginning of the game. Oh, it was red mail. Okay. Yeah, I missed it when Ricky checked that. It can be hard to watch 2 games at once, you know? Small key to Ganon's Tower. And magic powder. Got something to do the next time that we're in Kakariko. And it's also not painful to make a special trip to get magic bat. Alright, nice Moldorm kill from Ricky of Kokiri, getting us the second red crystal as well as the Bombos medallion. I believe that it was the Quake medallion required to enter Misery Mire. We'll see if Bombos ends up being useful other than an alternate way to unfreeze Cold Sare. And with the map check, I think that was a red pendant on Desert Palace. Which we have the big key and the small key already, so don't have to worry super hard about that one. The one that we can worry about is the green pendant, which is Turtle Rock, because that means that the Ice Rod could be in Ganon's Tower if it doesn't show up before too long. Speaking of Turtle Rock, Ricky gets a small key, which brings us to 3, I believe. We have 1 medallion now. Yeah, Ricky is opting to climb the mountain again, just in the event that the Bombos medallion is the medallion that is required for Turtle Rock. I like this play a lot. It's a 1 in 3 chance, but if you can get into Turtle Rock now, then that will save you an additional mountain climb if you want to be able to check more items. So I still feel that even if you do open it now, which Ricky cannot do, it is the Ether Medallion required for Turtle Rock. Yeah. We'll see if the Ether Medallion ends up being here, which is kind of unfortunate because we don't have the mirror right now. Map of Thieves Town? And right now, Jester is following suit on Ricky's tail, going into Hera, and then probably going to take a similar path. Nope, does Spiral Cave instead. Ricky finds the big key to Swamp Palace. Once we can get in, we'll have our run of the place. And there's that Ether Medallion, okay. And there's the book. That's not a great place to find either the book or the Ether Medallion, because if you just use the mirror, then you could check both the Ether Tablet as well as enter Turtle Rock without needing to climb the mountain an additional time. Unfortunately, Ricky does need to climb the mountain an additional time, and there's no way of avoiding that in order to be able to do those things. Ricky is instead going to take the book into Desert Palace, and I like this play a lot. Desert Palace is full clearable at this point, and has 6 items. You also already have the Fire Rod, which is a fantastic item to be able to deal with the Landmolas. So yeah, this is nice. Jester also doing the portal here. Jester doesn't currently have any medallions because he hasn't picked up the Bombos medallion on Moldorm. But we know that the Bombos medallion doesn't unlock anything additional. Not in this seed, anyway. Alright, there is pod key number 5, I believe. And that was locked behind boots, which were locked behind flippers, so that's probably our progression there. Oh. Jester dropped down in order to check Super Bunny Cave? Oh, okay, well, one way or the other, we're getting into Super Bunny Cave. And we'll see what this small key is. Misery Mire. Alright, Ricky going for the kill on Landmolas. Unfortunately misses the key dash. Alright. Alright, Jester, do you check Spike Cave after checking Super Bunny Cave? Nope. Okay, he's saving quitting. Ricky just shy of the 1 cycle, just 1 hit away, but gets a very nice 2 cycle for a piece of heart and the red pendant. I think Jester was trying to do Swamp Palace, but forgot he didn't have the mirror. Yeah. Once we find the mirror, then hey, we can full clear the place. That'd be great. And this is going to be a desert clear as well from Jester. So just a step behind right now. When Jester does decide to do Tower of Hera, which we know not to be that important at this point, but he'll be able to check the Ether Tablet while he's up there, which Ricky was not able to do yet. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that if you're Ricky at this moment, you're trying to hold out for the Ice Rod before you decide to go up the mountain an additional time and go back to Turtle Rock, but Turtle Rock with all of its items does look like a tempting destination. Instead, Ricky is going to do Ice Palace, so full clearing this dungeon is not in logic, even though we have the red cane already, because we don't have the big key to Ice Palace yet. Can definitely avoid it, but if it turns out that the big chest has something important, then could be a little while before Ricky decides to go back. Alright, Ricky's setting up to do everyone's favorite trick, Icebreaker! Makes getting through this dungeon so much nicer. Even though you gotta get that 1 pixel left movement. There it is. Icebreaker chest leads to the silver arrows. Also very nice to find the silvers before having to do Vitreous or any of the other things. Jester gonna find out that our Misery Mire medallion is the Quake variety. And without the mirror, there isn't too much more that we can do, so I think the next big question these runners have on their minds is where that mirror could be. And while it could be in Ice Palace, I think at this point the most likely place is actually Turtle Rock. Oh, I thought Jester was in Desert before. Did he? not clear the boss? I guess not, because he's going back in. Oh, he didn't have the small key, so I wonder if he was... I wonder if he saved and quit to try to steal a key and then hard reset if it doesn't work out. In the meantime, Ricky is making very quick work of Ice Palace and going for the Cold Stare fight, using that Bombos Medallion to unfreeze Cold Stare. Okay, Jester is clearing the boss now. Just 50 rupees, and the blue pendant. So we know that Turtle Rock is our remaining pendant. We are an Ice Rod away from being able to clear it, and we are both an Ice Rod and one more small key away from being able to full clear it. Another reason to possibly wait on doing Turtle Rock is if you think that something important is in Mimic Cave, which you would need the mirror to get. But at this point, there aren't really that many other viable options, so Ricky is heading right over there. The other thing that we've got while we were in Dark Death Mountain the first time was the Book of Mudora, which was in Hookshot Cave, and that will let Ricky be able to check the Ether Medallion if you want to make an additional walk. And yes, I think that extra walk for the Ether Medallion is pretty important to do. Jester also going to be heading over to the mountain after that Lanmola's kill. Jester hasn't done Hera yet, but he could route that nicely with the Ether Tablet at least. Ether Medallion just leads to Blue Cane, as we have seen on Ricky's side, and the Blue Cane is both the second best cane in the game and the second best invulnerability item in the game. And we already have the best cane and the best invulnerability item. Alright, Jester is really putting off Hera at this point. Going right into Turtle Rock as well, following suit. Yeah, we've had the big key for quite some time. But in any case, the only thing that was important in Tower of Hera was the Bombos Medallion, I believe. And Jester has 3 keys for Turtle Rock, not 2. So, both Ricky and Jester are going to be able to get the exact same checks while they are here, though they're doing it in a slightly different order. So, just a rupee from the first chest on the left side. We got a heart piece and bombs on the right, so hopefully the junk is just all front loaded. Another potential play, if Turtle Rock somehow doesn't really end up being anything, then you could try to... Well, with 3 keys going into Turtle Rock, and given that you still need to check items, ideally you would want to save a key to be able to beat the boss when you find the Ice Rod. However, it is possible to use hard resetting if you take an intentional death after you've checked Laser Bridge. Then you would start at the midpoint of the dungeon and be able to check the lava chest, and if you don't like what the contents have, then you can hard reset and you won't lose any progress. So that is play worth considering. We'll see if any of the runners end up going for it here. It's also possible that they might just figure, hey, lava chest might be required anyway, let's just check it on our way. And if it has something like the mirror, then it absolutely would be required. Regardless, in order to do those strats, you would have to steal a key. Here. Yep, and Ricky is stealing the key. Is Jester going to as well? No, Jester is going to use it straight up and check lava chests, so this could be a very nice advantage if Ricky doesn't come back later. Unfortunately, it ends up being a very bombs advantage. But Jester committing to using the key there does mean that Jester is going to have to find all 4, well, find that last Turtle Rock small key before being able to beat the dungeon. Whereas Ricky, if he continues to skip that chest, or if he hard resets after checking it, will only need the 3. And there's the mirror in the big chest of Turtle Rock. That is a interesting location for the mirror. At least we can check Mimic Cave right now. Yeah. Yeah, a reason why you might put Turtle Rock off for so long is not having that mirror to be able to check Mimic Cave, but it doesn't do you much good if the mirror is just in Turtle Rock itself. So, mirror does a lot for us now. We can full clear Swamp Palace. We've got... Well, full clearing Swamp Palace is the big thing. But we've also got Checkerboard Cave from the Mire area. We've got Cave 45. We've got Graveyard Ledge. Jester now has a quicker way to Tower of Hera if he decides to, like, save and quit after this. And Mirror just also saves time if you want to get to the beginning of a dungeon and don't want a Death Warp. Alright, so Ricky is going to be our first of the 2 runners to get over to Laser Bridge. Being very cautious of that eye. We find the big key to Ice Palace, which is a little bit unfortunate because Ricky already did Ice Palace, albeit out of logic. There's a bottle of green goo. More bombs. And do we have Vanilla Turtle Rock Key? No, just a heart piece. Okay. So Ricky is going to isolate the lava chest check by opening up safety door and then fluting from here. We know the lava chest isn't super important, but since Jester had hard committed to checking it, then in order to beat Turtle Rock, Jester is going to need to find that last Turtle Rock small key, whereas Ricky Does not. Jester has to be a bit careful here. Is opting to use that blue potion. Okay. In the meantime, Ricky gonna take advantage of that pod big key and finish off pod with 5 small keys plus the ability to hammer yump. Then you can full clear everything in the dungeon. Is Jester going to do the same? It remains to be seen. Oh, Jester's going to go right into Swamp Palace. This makes sense. Yeah, Finding Mirror opens up a lot there. I can understand waiting on Swamp Palace. If you are closer to go mode, then maybe you don't have to... Maybe it turns out you don't have to check things at all. If you find more items that gets you closer to go mode, maybe you want to make the decision about skipping left side swamp. But swamp right now is the highest density check available, so clearing it as soon as it becomes available makes a lot of sense as well. So, Swamp Palace, 10 chests, already have that small key. We have the red cane for Diver Down, should we need it. And there's that last Turtle Rock small key, so very fortunately for Jester, deciding to check Lava Chest isn't going to really hurt him in the long run. With Turtle Rock being a pendant as well, that means that that last Turtle Rock small key could have been in Ganon's Tower, and that would potentially be very rough. So nice to have that out of the way early. Alright, we got Helmified on Vidi's end. Helmified on Ricky's end, not Vitreous. We haven't yet to get that one. Need that Quake Medallion to get that one. And Jester, we're about to see if he decides to commit to left-hand side. I feel like Jester's pretty likely to commit. Jester's been pretty thorough about dungeon clears. Alright. Just a red rupee from King Helmasaur, and I think Ricky will pop back in the dungeon to check the big chest as well with Hammer Yump. Jester is going to commit to checking left side swamp, which I feel at this point you pretty much have to do. One of the other things that we're going to be needing and haven't quite found yet is the Ganon's Tower big key. So we'll see where that can be. Other than that, there aren't really too many items that we need left. We need to find the Ice Rod, of course. We need to find the Quake Medallion. And is that all? I think that's all with the Ganon's Tower big key. Speaking of which, there is the Ganon's Tower big key locked behind the big chest, which is also 6 pod keys logically required in pod. So, that'll be on Jester's path when he decides to do that. And now Ricky is going to be the one following Jester into a dungeon. Ricky heading to Swamp Palace afterward. Another nice benefit to doing Swamp Palace now is you can check the Bombos tablet immediately afterward. Let's see what left side Swamp has. We have bombs and a red rupee. Another thing that we haven't seen from either runner yet is Pyramid Fairy. If Pyramid Fairy has something, then Jester is going to have to do Hera. Might still be holding on to the hope that we find that Hera small key. But even though Hera is a crystal... oh, there's the Quake Medallion, okay. So that opens up Misery Mire. Full clear. Ricky has the silvers already and can make the Vitreous fight so much easier. But yeah, what I was saying about the Hera small key, even though Hera is a crystal, the Hera small key can still be in Ganon's Tower, so it's possible that you're just not going to see it and not going to need to worry about it. At this point, though, it is just the Ice Rod that we need to be able to finish up Turtle Rock and beat the Seed. Unfortunately, that Ice Rod can still be just about anywhere in the game. We need one more small key to make Ganon's Tower fully in logic, and there's a high likelihood that that one small key is in Ganon's Tower itself. So the only place that the Ice Rod definitely can't be is the pedestal, and I guess also definitely not on Sahasrara, because it is the green pendant. Alright. Very nice Phase 2 Argus on Jester's end, using that Fire Rod to great effect. And nothing important on the boss, but that is another crystal. Yeah. I feel like the worst case scenario for Ricky at this point is actually not Ice Rod in Ganon's Tower, but instead Ice Rod in that Ice Palace big chest. It'll likely be a while before Ricky heads over there. I believe that Jester has the Ice Palace big key as well, because I think that that was found in Turtle Rock. And if that is the case, then Jester will be able to check that when he decides to do Ice Palace. But right now, Jester's gonna catch up on clearing dungeons. Since he waited to do Eastern, then he'll be able to do everyone's favorite Pod Mirror Eastern clear. It always feels good when you're able to route those together and just not have to walk quite as far. And then other than that, Jester still has Hera, which we know doesn't really have anything. And both runners will have Mire and finishing Turtle Rock when they get that Ice Rod. But Mire puts Ganon's Tower available, so feel like that'll be pretty soon. Alright. The other thing that Jester is going to need to do is get that Hammer Yump going in order to get the Ganon's Tower big key. And yep, Jester's heading right over there. So that's good. Not forgetting that one. Oh, don't save and quit. Yep. All right. You still got the boss to beat. Don't save and quit yet. And don't save and quit after the boss either, because you still want to do Eastern. Alright, Ricky going into that Argus fight. And I don't think that Ricky has too much left that'll put him away from doing Misery Mire. Routing Misery Mire is also interesting. It's the dungeon that is probably the single easiest one to go back to. Once you can get there, of course. So there is the possibility that you take a God Mire route and you assume that Misery Mire doesn't have anything at all, and then bank on clearing Ganon's Tower in order to find the Ice Rod. That being said, I find that play is very risk-heavy in general, but especially now with Turtle Rock being the last dungeon that you would need to do. If the Ice Rod is there, then you would have to do another mountain climb if you decide to take the God Mire route the first time around, so it can be a little scary. That being said, we are seeing the Bombos tablet on Ricky's side, which I don't believe that we saw on Jester's side. 10 arrows. And also, we still have Pyramid Fairy. And I think Ricky is going to give us Pyramid Fairy check right now, actually. Oh, nope, K45 first. That makes sense, too. Mirror unlocked K45, as well as Graveyard Ledge, as well as Checkerboard Cave. Nothing too important there. Alright, now it's going to be the Mire play from Ricky. So I feel that if you go into Mire this early, then you're committing to clearing the entire dungeon. Maybe step into Checkerboard Cave first? Nope, Ricky's just gonna clear the dungeon. In the meantime, very nice Helmasaur fight on Jester's side, and Jester's gonna clear Eastern Palace as well, catch up a little bit on dungeon clears. Yep, Ricky is going left side first. That is the play that you make if you're going to commit to full clearing Mire. If you have small keys already, then doing left side first is the way to go about it the most quickly, even though in a non-key sanity randomizer, you will usually go... Well, you will go to the back first in order to pick up the small keys that you need for the rest. So we'll see if Meyer ends up being useful. Again, with only one item until go mode, there's definitely the temptation to skip things, and it looks like Ricky is going to commit to skipping cutscene chests at the very least. Oh man, well, finding that other small key does put cutscene chests in logic now, so you get to worry about it a little more perhaps, but I think at this point, if you're committing to skipping it, then you should just commit all the way. Gotta love it when you find small keys in their vanilla dungeon. Alright. Very nice Armos fights. Very nice Armos Knights clear, using the quick kill on Jester's end. And now we're map check. Save and quit, so we're gonna start on the pyramid. And Ice Palace is next. Yeah, this also makes a lot of sense. I think at this point, Jester putting off Hera for so long is hoping to combo clearing Hera and then going into Ganon's Tower immediately afterward. Which we know that he'll be able to do. However, Jester has not yet picked up the Misery Mire Big Key, which we know was available super early on in Ice Rod Cave. He has the flute now to be able to do that very quickly, but has to make sure that he remembers to do that, as well as actually make that play. The one thing that we are going to see on Jester's side that we did not see on Ricky's side is the big chest of Ice Palace. If that ends up being our Ice Rod, then could be a while before Ricky decides to go back, because I feel that at this point Ricky is going to full clear the basement of Ganon's Tower before going back. But yeah, Silver Arrow's making very quick work of that Vitreous fight, by the way. So with that, Ricky is going into Ganon's Tower. We'll hope to find the Ice Rod there. It's obviously the most dense place remaining, the most item dense place remaining in the game. There's still a couple unanswered questions in the overworld. Those mostly being Pyramid Fairy on Ricky's side, as well as the big chest of Ice Palace, and now the cutscene chest of Misery Mire. So definitely a lot of opportunities for Jester to get back in the game, despite being so many dungeons behind at this point. Yep, and Graveyard Ledge as well, thank you. For Ricky as well, there's also the unanswered question of the lava chest in Turtle Rock, which we know to be nothing, but is something. But in the meantime, Jester has found the Ice Rod in the big chest of Ice Palace. This is... Oh man, this is potentially a rough scenario for Ricky. So now the only thing that Jester needs is to pick up that big key to Misery Mire, which is in Ice Rod Cave, and then Jester will be in go mode. So, Ricky is clearing the basement now. We know that Jester, since it's the Mire key that's missing, and the Mire is a crystal, Jester isn't going to be checking the basement of Ganon's Tower at all. This is exactly the sort of opportunity that Jester needed to come back and make this race very competitive. So we'll see what happens next. Alright, nice cold stare kill on Jester's side. Ricky making his way to Rando Room. Also, Ricky does have that fourth Turtle Rock small key, which was in the first chest of Swamp Palace. So, Ricky does know about potentially being able to do Lava Chest in Turtle Rock. Alright, so the thing that we need to see Jester do is check Ice Rod Cave, of all things. But instead he's doing... Oh, is he doing Mire without the big key? Yuppie is doing Mire without the big key. Oh, I did too, actually. I missed all of Dark Magician Room. I was going to say, we just found the sword, but you already got that one. Okay. There's a small key. Maybe to Ganon's Tower? No, to Hera Basement. Ooh. I think Ricky also missed that one. I don't think he did Checkerboard Cave after clearing Mire. He went right up to Ganon's Tower. So if he does that one first and then finds that Hera small key, that's another thing that could potentially get you worried. Oh man, Ricky, that's not the big key that you wanted. Well, that's not what you wanted. He wants the Ice Rod. He doesn't want big keys anymore. Jester's the one who wants the big key. Jester needs to check Ice Rod Cave for that big key to be in play. But big chest of Skullwoods, that's another one-off check that's in a location that takes several minutes to travel to, and at this point you're really, really wanting to avoid as many fetch quests that you can. Alright, in the meantime, I think we are going to see cutscene chests from Jester. Ricky grabbing the full magic before clearing Torch Room, especially with half magic then. That gives you a lot of extra shots, and you'll be able to use Fire Rod pretty liberally on the climb should you decide to do so. Alright, what do you got, Compass Room? The red meringue! Was that a heart piece for Sank or Sank Heart? Either way, Ricky is very healthy. And yeah, that's the basement full cleared, and now Ricky is going to do the Ganon's Tower climb. So, this seed is now a game of which of our two runners is going to do the check that they isolated first. Obviously, Ice Rod Cave is one that takes less travel time to come back to by far. But we'll see if it comes into play. There's also the question of Pyramid Fairy. If that is on Jester's mind, he's going to need to beat Tower of Hera first. And alright, 6 of 8 are done. Where to next? Jester is climbing the mountain. Oh my, yep, this is looking like a Hera play, maybe a Turtle Rock play as well. We know that Jester cannot go into Ganon's Tower without the Misery Mire Big Key, so he won't be looking there, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for him, he won't be looking there. Jester has also missed Spike Cave, I believe. Is he doing Spike Cave now? Nope. Just wanted that fairy. And yep, checking Ether Tablet first. I like the frustration. Nope. You missed the quick kill with the one cycle with the red cane. That guy deserves all the slashes. Alright, one other thing that Jester can do in Tower of Hera that Ricky cannot at this point is check the vanilla big key chest, because Jester pulled the small key from Checkerboard Cave. We have a shield on our way up the climb. Oh no, the mushroom! The mushroom from Validation Chest! That's another fetch quest! Didn't want to see that one. At least the mushroom is a pretty quick fetch quest with the flute. And very nice Moldorm kill from Jester for that Bombos medallion. We'll see if he goes back in to check the big key chest. Yep, he's going back in. Totally reasonable play to make. Especially given how late that mirror was. Alright, nice Aghanim kill from Ricky. And now the game becomes, when is Ricky going to go back into Ice Palace with so many other potentially juicier options available? But yeah, I imagine after this Heraclear, Jester is going to be able to finish out Turtle Rock right away. And then he is still a Ganon's Tower climb behind. And because he hadn't found the Mire big key before doing that, he's going to have to make the mountain climb an additional time. So I feel that in most scenarios, Ricky is still ahead, but with one isolated check, there's definitely the possibility that Ricky forgets to do it or doesn't get back to it until essentially the last thing. Jester is also checking Spike Cave right now, which is a totally reasonable call. Ricky, I think this is going to be Pyramid Fairy. Yep. Alright. Jester's on top of the pyramid. Where are we fluting? We're fluting to 4. Is this also going to be Pyramid Fairy? Yep, I think this is also going to be Pyramid Fairy. Nice thing about having cleared Aghanim as well is that you can get a slightly shorter route to get to the pyramid by mirroring and heading to the light world. Two full heart containers in Pyramid Fairy. Do we skip any heart pieces? This could be the legendary 20 hearts seed. All right, I think this is going to be Big Chest of Skullwoods. The big key for Skullwoods was available in Ganon's Tower, so I like this play from Ricky. I think that this is playing towards your out, basically. So if it's here, then that means that the basement clear that you already did in Ganon's Tower was definitely required, which is your best case scenario. Alright. Jester is fluting to Kakariko. I think this is Magic Bat. Yeah, I don't recall Ricky doing Magic Bat either. Graveyard Ledge. Also makes sense. There wasn't really a good time to get over here with the late mirror and with progression being inside Bumper Cave. Ricky flew into Kakariko as well. Okay, Jester. Jester might also be checking the Skullwoods. No, Jester doesn't have the big key for Skullwoods. I think Jester's also checking Graveyard Ledge. Okay. That's reasonable. Ricky's gonna do Purple Chest, which he had missed earlier. Might also combo that with Magic Bat, I think. Alright. Alright, Jester, you can check that one off. Where's the next place? Yep, Jester hasn't been to King's Tomb. At least Jester was able to combo Graveyard Ledge with something. Can be very easy to isolate Graveyard Ledge sometimes. Alright. Oh, Ricky is going back in for cutscene chest. Oh, man. Not gonna be happy about this one. Maybe Bumper Cave first. Or not, Checkerboard Cave, Checkerboard Cave. Yeah. Not gonna be happy about that either. But I feel like you're gonna be even less happy about cutscene chest. Jester fluting to 3 again. Oh, man. I mean, for Jester, the Misery Mire Big Key could be on the pedestal, so a ped check is not unreasonable at this point. And yeah, Ricky is going back in for cutscene chest. Alright, Cave 45. Maybe Bombo's tablet after this? Nope. Yeah. I will say it's a very interesting it's a very interesting race when the runners are chasing after different Go mode items. And it's also pretty thrilling that one of the Go mode items is for a pendant dungeon and the other is for a crystal dungeon. It leaves the possibility open that you can last location completely different things. Good old Keysanity. Alright. Getting out the flute. This is a flute to 8! Is this the Ice Rod Cave check? This is the Ice Rod Cave check. Okay. Jester is going to be in Go mode before Ricky of Kokiri. So the advantage that Ricky has now is having already did the climb for Ganon's Tower. So both of the runners are going to have Turtle Rock to do. Jester still needs to finish out Misery Mire. So, this is very much still anyone's race, but Ricky is going to have to go find that Ice Rod soon. Ricky is also fluting to 8. Okay, Ricky is coming back for that Ice Palace big chest. Yep, there it is. So both of our runners are going to be in Go mode with about a minute, maybe a minute and a half between each other. So I think that the advantage tips pretty heavily in Ricky's favor, just because Jester still has that Ganon's Tower climb to do. But at this point, it's all going to be execution once Ricky picks up that Ice Rod. And there's still definitely things that can happen along the way. If you run out of magic during the Trinex fight, or if you have a Ganon's Tower fall or something. Nice throwing the cane block for Jester. It's always satisfying to see that work. Alright. And there's that Ice Rod. Ricky is slashing that chest. Not where he wanted to find that. But that does put Ricky of Kokiri in go mode. So Ricky's gonna head up to Turtle Rock now, get that green pendant from Trinex, and then just again fight away. So, yeah, the dungeon clearing advantage was a bit too much in Ricky's favor for Jester to be able to overcome. That being said, there's still things that can happen. We still have an entire Turtle Rock dungeon to go through, and Jester is not going to be that far behind Ricky to Turtle Rock, at least. I don't remember specifically where the big key to Ice Palace was, and I believe it was one of the things that was in Turtle Rock itself. So, yeah, it's a tough one, because if you're going into Turtle Rock, you want to find the Ice Rod to be able to clear it, and maybe the Ice Rod is in Ice Palace, in which case you won't need to make another mountain trip. In any case, it's a good thing that Ricky did remember to check that chest before forgetting about it. Jester getting turned around a little bit there. All right. So, making our way through. All we've got left is a Trinex fight, a Ganon fight, and then we'll see Ricky beat the dungeon. Jester just has this plus a Ganon's Tower climb to do as well. Alright, Buttersword making very quick work of the Trenix fight. We saw Buttersword in the rando room of Ganon's Tower, so that's another marginal advantage that Ricky has. Tempered Sword cuts it fine for most enemies. Yeah, thanks for the blue rupee, Trinix. Yep, the other nice thing about having Aga cleared already is you can just save and quit as soon as you're done with a dungeon in the Dark World, and now you're in the Ganon fight. Magic Cape and Buttersword makes Phase 2 look very easy. Alright, and nice Trinix fight on Jester's side. Gets that green medallion, and green pendant. And now ready to head into Ganon's Tower itself, the final dungeon in the game. So, not too far behind. Ricky gets Torch Glitch. Just don't want to see any Ganon falls. Alright, this could do it. And that's it. So get your GGs in chat for Ricky of Kokiri, who is the first of our runners to be finished. Assuming that he can cross that bridge, but I'm assuming that he can cross that bridge. Alright. That was an official race room time of... I will tell you once I have the race room window open. I don't have the race room. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. Yeah. The official race room time for Ricky is 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 10 seconds. And Jester is climbing up Ganon's Tower right now. So yeah, GG Ricky. Jester not too far behind, going up Ganon's Tower, gonna make very quick work of it with like all of the weapons and items that we have here. So, the end of the seed ended up being quite thrilling. And all right, and we are joined by Ricky of Kokiri, our first place finisher, for an interview. GG, Ricky.
Thank you. Can you hear me fine? I have a new microphone. Don't know if it's working right.
Yes, can hear you fine.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, that so just I put off Ice Pass as long as I could because I wanted to have the big key. But when we got Ether in Hookshot Cave and we don't have Mirror, and I don't want to climb up the mountain again just to do Ice Rod Turtle Rock when I have 2 other dungeons, I can full clear it technically. I went and did it. I was so bad when I found the big key on the laser bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just I got so hard baited into like it's a green pendant TR. Ice Rod could very well be in GT, and that was a total waste of time.
Yeah, that ended up being the advantage that Jester had. Jester didn't do Ice Palace until going into Turtle Rock the first time. And it makes sense that you would want to wait because hey, if Ice Rod is in Ice Palace, they both have ice in the name, right? If Ice Rod is in Ice Palace, then you don't have to do Turtle Rock a second time.
If
But
only it worked like that.
yep, this was a mandatory Turtle Rock double dip. No other
Yeah,
way around it.
yeah.
Uh Little did you know. But it came to the point in the end where both of you were looking for different Go mode items. Since Jester had found the Ice Rod, the thing that he was looking for was actually the big key to Misery Mire, which was found in Ice Rod Cave. So
Oh, okay.
there was an Ice Rod hunt one way or the other. Either you go to where it's supposed to be or you go to where it actually is.
Right.
And it was thrilling because a lot of the time you guys were following each other to similar locations as you were both looking for your respective Go mode items, even though they were different Go mode items to begin with. So
Oh my gosh.
it made the end very thrilling.
Good. Glad about that. I only had 2 spots left to check. I had Tile Room of Hera and Lava Chest of TR, and that was it when I
Yep.
finally found that damn thing.
Yep, as well. One of the other plays that Jester made was he did check the Turtle Rock lava room chest immediately. Uh,
Oh, interesting.
so I was curious if the fourth Turtle Rock small key would end up being in Ganon's Tower. That would be a potentially pretty bad time, but it was in the first
Yeah.
chest of Swamp Palace instead. So,
Yeah. That's why I didn't check Lava Chest because I was afraid of that scenario. I was hoping I would not need to go into GT for Turtle Rock, which turned out you didn't need to, but you know.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, though,
Yeah, other
I
than that, an early play that you made that ended up working out was actually doing the fake flippers about 40 minutes in. Uh,
yeah,
both of
I
you both of
oh
you
god,
had
sorry.
skipped Ice Rod Cave on your first pass around, saved and quit immediately after leaving Mini Moldorm Cave, which I
Right.
believe had the Moon Pearl, so yeah,
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
understandable to do that. Uh, but then you were the first one to decide to go back and take that, making the walk to Ice Rod Cave, and then fake flippering afterward, which led to Boo
The
Cane of
boots,
Samaria, and then you saw the hook
knowledge of
shot
the hook
from.
shot.
Yep, you saw the hook shot from the
Yeah.
ledge.
Yeah, my rationale there was just that Zora wasn't logic, so let me do these other things along with Zora, which turned out to be correct. Fighting flippers was fun, but you know.
Yep, the flippers were very elusive. I spent a lot of time wondering vocally where the flippers could possibly be, and it turns out you had to go save the old man of the mountain first. If you would have
Yeah.
saved the old man of the mountain before going into the dark world the first time, then it would have routed very
Yeah,
nicely, but
it would have,
uh,
yeah.
that's a hard call to make, especially when there's so little other stuff that you can do on the left side of Death Mountain at the time.
Totally, totally.
Another advantage that Jester had over you was that Jester knew from checking Aghanim's Tower, or from checking Lumberjack Ledge right away,
Okay, so he knew it
that
pretty early.
the flute was there. He knew the location for the flute, but he had waited a longer time. He waited until he actually had the flippers before doing the flippers checks. So while he was able to get
Ah,
hookshot at the same time, he actually didn't pick up the flute until after you had already scouted and seen it.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't like checking lumberjack until I have the boots and I'm doing bonk rocks. Basically, I'll combine those two together. So yeah, it was kind of funny because that totally changed my plans because I do bonk rocks and then I check the lumberjack and I was going to go back into the dark world to check um, the ledge, but when I saw the flute, I was like, well, change of plans. We're doing that right now.
All right, we're seeing Jester take a death to Turtle Rock. I think that this is going to stop the momentum so he won't fall in the pit. Yep, okay, we're good. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that
Oh,
was
he has a fairy.
yeah. The fairy helped. But yeah, I was wondering about that too because at that point the mountain is also so close that I was like, oh well, now you can just take the flute to the mountain instead. But uh,
Right, but I still didn't have hookshot or mirror, and so going up the mountain was like all you're getting is the old man and possibly whatever's inside Spec Rock, and that's it. So it didn't seem
mhm,
worthwhile at the time.
yeah, the old man did give you access to Spike Cave, but you don't know that until you do the old man first.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Also, get your GGs in for Jester. Finishing this race with a time of, once I open my window again, 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 12 seconds. So, GG, congratulations on finishing that seed. Also, Ricky, I'm seeing the 200 collection rate, and yup,
Only
it,
200. I was
it
expecting
was
it to
that
be way
time.
higher. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, other than missing the ice rod, how did you feel about that seed?
I I thought it went pretty well. I mean, I like the only regret I have is doing well besides Ice Rod is doing Hyrule Castle. But I feel like when I did it made the most sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall I feel I did fine. It was just pretty much last locating the Ice Rod ruined everything.
Mhm. Yeah, especially if you know you're gonna do Aghanim's Tower anyway. It makes sense to check Hyrule Castle while you're there. It's not really gonna get any closer.
Yeah, there's never really a good time to do it, but especially like I went to Catfish, like, okay, what exactly do I do next? And he throws me the Hyrule Castle spell. He's like, well, I guess that I'll go do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes Jester. GG's Jester.
Hey, good game to you.
GG. So how do you feel about Ice Rod Cave?
I feel real bad because, like I said in the waiting room, I never leave anything behind. But because I did the castle play without the torch, and I thought about the holes that I would fall in, I tried to save some minutes, and it haunted me all game. And I kept saying, "Ah, it will be fine. There's nothing there."
Yeah.
But
It
there was.
wasn't relevant until it very much was. The end of the game ended up being quite a scavenger hunt because Ricky had left behind the ice rod in the vanilla big chest of, or in the big chest of Ice Palace. Didn't have the big key to Ice Palace until doing Turtle Rock. So while you were able to get the ice rod through the first pass, since you did Ice Palace after Turtle Rock, uh, it ended up being not quite Ricky's last location, but very close to it.
Third to last location, because I did Turtle Rock before Ice Palace.
Yeah.
I was
Uh,
I wanted to do Ice Palace too, but I kept changing my mind about everything in this race.
yeah, I mean, in this scenario, it works out because it was a mandatory Turtle Rock double dip. Doing Turtle Rock before Ice Palace made it so that it wasn't a mandatory Ice Palace double dip.
Nah, Ice Rod and Ice Palace is pretty bad, especially if you need to go to Turtle Rock first.
Yeah, specifically Ice Rod in the big chest of Ice Pass. Any other chest would have been fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, literally any other chest would have been fine.
We can
Yeah,
call this match Ice Rod. It's all teamed Ice Rod
Yeah, right.
in a way or another.
Yeah, Team Ice Rod won in this one.
yep. So I would say that the Act 1 boss of this seed was actually finding the flippers, because there was so much progression that was locked behind the flippers. Ended up being on Bumper Cave, which you had to get the cape from the old man of Death Mountain. How'd you feel about Jester? How'd you feel about that when you finally got the flippers and then did the hobo check for the boots?
I was really wondering what we needed to do, because when I got the cape, it was almost like my last location from what I had to left at that time, and I was like, oh no, you're kidding me. And when I saw the flippers, I said, bye, probably not that bad. And it was. There was so much item behind that.
Yeah. Did lead to the hookshot as well, though, and by that point you had already had the Titan's Midst, so then Death Mountain was such a tempting option.
Yeah, the first time I went there, I forget about how I didn't have the mirror. I wanted to just do the dark side of the mountain and then go to Tower of Hera, but I got stuck there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you waited until pretty late in the seed before finally doing Tower of Hera, and it worked out. The only thing that was there was the Bombos medallion, which was definitely not required. Were you trying to combo that with Ganon's Tower?
Well, when I got out of ice, I think, or maybe Eastern, I did a check to see the medallions and the crystals, because I thought Meyer would be like a pendant, and I would have to go to Era and then Ganon's Tower and then come back to Meyer. But it was not the case.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was a pretty fun seed. It took me a while, and I was pretty sure Ricky would finish like 30 minutes before me, but I think he got in the same problems as me.
Well, yeah, I went in full clear GT looking for that ice rod.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I guess it makes a
I mean,
big
it was
sense.
pendant TR.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah,
like, it was
for
possible.
sure.
It was very thrilling to watch from the beginning, and especially at the end. I definitely got a kick out of that. So, with that, I think we're about ready to wrap things up. Any other parting thoughts, things that you have to say about this seed or of the league so far?
Not the seed particularly, but I am glad managed to get some points on the board for our team. We had a really bad first week, but it's good to end second week with a win, and hopefully it all goes up from here.
Yeah, and thanks you guys for streaming and tracking and commentating. And
Yes,
thanks Ricky
absolutely.
for racing with me, and congrats on your win again.
Thank
and
you.
Don't forget to never leave a place behind.
Oh. I mean, normally, yes, but we're talking about Ice Palace Big Key. Like, come on now. How often does that burn me? Ay, 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 ay. But
These
yeah,
games find a way.
yes, they do.
They find a way. All right. So, once again, thank you to the runners, Ricky of Kokiri and Jester, for running this. Please give them a follow if you have not already. Thank you to the rest of the crew, Raids 138, and for tracking, especially watching two races at the same time and being only one person. It's very easy to miss stuff, and I was relying on Raids very much in order to be able to figure out what we were doing. And thank you to Yonker's wife for restreaming. But speaking of raids, we are going to be raiding Speed Gaming. They are doing a invitational match between Error as well as OACE28. Right now, they are finishing up their Fad Keys race. So thank you all for watching. I am Danny Music, and have a great rest of your evening.